Biblical Hebrew 2, chapter 31, Hiphil, weak verbs. First of all, going through the Hiphil weak verbs, we'll look at the first guttural, and I've given you the strong ones here at the top for comparison, so you can look at what it looks like in the strong verbs and what it looks like in the weak verbs. And not too many changes here with the first guttural. So with the strong verb, the diagnostics remain the same. We'll still have the he prefix. We'll almost always still have the hirek yod stem vowel. And of course with gutturals, because they cause vowel changes, we'll have slight nuances in those things. But the main diagnostics of the Hiphil verbs will remain the same. If you look across the board here, the main changes that we have are with the perfect form. In the strong form, we have hiktil with the first guttural. We get a segol there as a prefix vowel instead of a hirek prefix vowel. So the example there is he'emid, and then the guttural itself also takes that corresponding segol, hatef segol, with the shortened form there. The imperfect ya'amid, the guttural there likes to take the corresponding A-class vowel from the prefix as well. So instead of just yaktil, the strong form, we have ya'amid, so that the shava of the strong form becomes a hatef, or a hatef patah there. So patah added under the R1. And that same phenomenon is seen in the imperative, infinitive construct, and infinitive absolute forms as well under the ayin. You can see there the hatef patah instead of the shava that we have in the strong form. Otherwise, those remain the same. And then the same thing happens also with the participle under the ayin. We have the hatef patah there instead of the shava that we would have in the strong form of the participle. So once again, generally, the first guttural Hiphil weak forms stay the same. The main diagnostic features are preserved. Then third hit and third ayin verbs, Hiphil weak verbs. Again, the strong verb diagnostics mostly remain. The stem vowel is patah occasionally, as we'll see for example, in the imperative form. You compare the strong imperative haktel to the weak third het imperative. We have hashlach because of the het there preferring an A-class vowel. And all of these forms, if you notice, also have a furtive patah leading into that final het. So with the strong perfect, instead of hiktil, everything stays the same except we have hishliyach. So that furtive patah shows up there. Same thing in the imperfect, everything's the same with yashli up to that point. The same with yaktil, but then we have that yashliyach, the furtive patah shows up there at the end. So all of these forms stay the same if you look across the board and compare these, with the exception of that patah showing up there, leading into that final het or final guttural form. Then the third aleph forms also fortunately stay mostly the same. So if you look at the perfect form, hiktil is the same in the third aleph. We have himtzi. Their imperfect yaktil, we have yamtzi, the counterpart. The same thing with the imperative, the infinitive construct, infinitive absolute, and participle here. So all of these across the board, there are no changes, as you can see, comparing these two forms here. Sometimes in some of the other forms, like with the perfect in the second singular and second plural forms, we will have a tere or segol stem vowel instead of the hirek yod, which is typical for the Hiphil. But largely these remain the same, as you can see from comparison of the strong and weak forms here. Then as for third he verbs, we've already been familiar with the kinds of changes that third he verbs cause. So with these we still have the same prefix hey there with the Hiphil, and we have the same prefix vowels, but then the vowels towards the end of the word close to that third hey are prone to change. So for example, the perfect here, instead of the Hiphil strong form, we have higla, so the hirek yod is lost there. We have a kametz hey ending here for that one with the third hey. In the imperfect, we have yagle, so the hirek yod once again is lost, and segol there shows up. It's the same thing with the imperative. A tzere from haktel becomes a segol. Infinitive construct takes this holem vav tav form here, a different form of feminine ending, so the hey is completely lost from that root gala to give us haglot with the infinitive construct. The infinitive absolute stays the same. Haktel of the strong form is hagle, so both have that tzere stem vowel. And then with the participle maktil, the hirek yod is lost there, giving us magle. So with a segol stem vowel on that one. Then the first nun Hiphil weak verbs, the strong verb diagnostics remain. The nun, however, is lost, which causes problems when trying to identify the root of the verb. So we have to keep in mind with the first nun verbs that a nun might have disappeared. So when we're looking up the form in the dictionary, sometimes we have to postulate the presence of an original nun to help us find the form. However, that does not affect the diagnostic features very much. So with hiktil, the perfect strong form, we also have in the first nun we have hitzil. So we have that hirek yod at the beginning. We have the hey yod prefix at the beginning, and then we have the hirek yod there at the middle. So it still looks like a Hiphil with those main diagnostic features. The imperfect also has that patach prefix vowel and then the hirek yod stem vowel. Imperative loses the tzere, and instead we have hatzal here, so patach stem vowel occurs. Infinitive construct stays mostly the same. Infinitive absolute stays the same. Participle stays the same, with the exception of losing the nun in all of these forms. So the nun has been doubled. It's now present as a dagesh forte in the tzadi in this root. So the root for this verb that we're looking at is natzal, nun, tzade, lamed. So these roughly mostly stay the same, with the exception of the loss of that nun, which becomes a dagesh in the tzadi in R1. Then first yod verbs. And these first yod verbs were usually originally had a vav there. So they were first vav verbs in an earlier stage in Hebrew, and this vav reappears with the holem in these Hiphil forms. So we still have the same prefix. We still have the hey in the perfect. We still have the hirek yod stem vowel, but the main thing that is lost now is the prefix vowel is no longer the hirek. It is now this holem vav that shows up, indicating the original character of the first yod verbs as a first vav verb. So in the imperfect we have yoshiv. We still have that hirek yod there in the middle, but we have this holem vav now as the stem vowel instead of the patach that we have in the strong form. Imperative also we have hoshev. We have the hey prefix there, but the vowel with the hey is changed to the holem vav. Same with infinitive construct. The holem vav shows up also with infinitive absolute, and then the participle as well. So the prefix consonant stays the same in all of these. The main change that occurs is that holem vav shows up there in these first yod forms, and we also have to keep in mind when looking these up from the dictionary that this first yod has been lost, so you'll only be able to find these words from the dictionary if you look under yod verbs. Then the biconsonantal roots of Hiphil weak verbs. Once again, the strong verb diagnostics remain the same. We have that hirek yod stem vowel, we have the hey prefix. The vowel under that prefix, however, changes in most of these cases. As you can see, actually all of these cases, the perfect takes a tsere prefix vowel now. Instead of hiktil, we have hekim, so tsere there instead of hirek. With the imperfect, we have yakim, so the patach has become a kametz here. With the imperative, we also have a hakim, the patach here is now as a kametz. Infinitive construct, we have hakim as well. The kametz has become a patach and also infinitive absolute. And then in the participle, maktil has become mekim. So a patach has changed to a tsere in this case. So we still have the prefixes of he, we still have the stem vowel hirek yod, but the vowel under the prefix changes in each of these cases. So now the vocabulary for chapter 31. Aven. So that's a typo here. This should be Aven. Iniquity, wickedness, evildoer. Otsar, treasure, treasury, storehouse. Ot, sign, mark, pledge. Goral, lot, portion, allotment. Yeshua, salvation, help, deliverance. Mikne, cattle, livestock, property. Mishmeret, a watch, guard, responsibility. Nega, mark, plague, affliction. Tsar, adversary, enemy. Gedem, east, ancient times. Korban, gift, offering. Shekel, measure of weight, shekel.